Welcome to an Inside View and welcome, Tanya. Thank you
Hi,
for joining us today.
thank you for having me.
So why don't you just let everyone know a little bit about you? What was it that you'd like to share before we start?
Well, I like to share that I am a person like everyone else out there, and as many of us, I work, I have a private life. Sometimes these two blend, and as also all of you and all other people, I went through big changes during the last few years, especially the last one. I guess the pandemic brought a lot of change and like not planned change to all of us. Um, so I'm just a person that had a lot of questions already in the past about herself, which I decided to listen to and which I decided to give some answers. So that's why I started this journey mainly.
Okay. Tell people where you're from originally.
I'm from Slovenia. Well, I'm half Slovenian, half Italian. I moved around. Currently, I live in Italy. But yes, my like traveling in other countries are part of my family map.
Exactly.
So not
Exactly.
just, yeah, I don't just have one reality to look at, but I
Multiple.
always had some, yeah, benchmark in my life.
Mm. So tell people how you came about finding us.
Well, I find Body Mind and you, Christian, actually from a word of mouth. My very, very good friend, my best friend, who knows me since a long time, suggested me this journey. It was a very tough moment in my life, and she said it would be helpful. And of course, she also said to me, "Look, it's something you really want. It's something you should do if it's something you really want to do. It's not something mandatory. It's not something you know that you need to be forced into, but it's something that if you opens up, gives you a lot of opportunities." So I trusted my friend basically, and she always knew what is best for me. She kind of sensed it, and she directed me to you. So, and then we
Okay.
had our first chat.
And we had our first chat. So
Yeah.
what was the first chat like?
Was a really funny one because I was at the seaside. There was this huge wind. I couldn't hear you well. It was a very arranged call, nothing, super planned. But I was so in need of starting this, of, moving from that stuck point I was in, that I wanted to talk to you as soon as possible. And my friend was with me, and she said, "No, come on, it doesn't matter. It's even if it's not the perfect moment, just go on the phone and have this chat." And this chat, I remember that very well. Started with you saying, "There's nothing to fix because you're not broken," and that's a sentence that you repeat quite often, which really helps if repeated because sometimes we think there is something wrong with us or wrong with our thoughts or with our feelings, and instead it's just the human nature, just we're not used to look at that in a certain way.
Yeah, you had a shift in perspective, huh?
Yes.
So out of all our offerings, you have engaged the most with body mind maturation work, yes?
Yes.
And it's been a little over a year now, hasn't it?
Yes. Correct.
So if someone were to be curious about that service that we provide, what would you tell them from your experience as coming to us, having had no knowledge of what we share, and meeting me the first time online? We've never actually met in person. What has that been like for you?
Well, for me is a flowing river that accompany you along the way. That is what I would share, of course, by describing it a bit more. I would say it's a service of that is all about yourself, and it's all about your self findings. And also it changes over time. Like the perception you have of this practice, of this journey, changes over time. That was my experience. At the beginning, I guess I had a lot of bias stopping me from understanding something of this work. And I was still a bit stuck. And I didn't get everything that you told me in the first meeting. Then all of a sudden, some of the things that you told me got a sense. And along the way, I was feeling more part of the process and not someone who watches the process from behind or from the outside. It is also a journey that provides you with tools. So the tools are actually tools we already have in our pockets, just we are not looking in our pockets. So by shifting the perspective, it makes you see things that you didn't see about yourself before, or it makes you discover things that you still want to know about yourself. But with a certain structure. So you're feeling you're not alone in this, and you're feeling that the perspective is there for you to change, even in different situations that that your life is developing in. So it's not something you can use once, or it's not the perception you have. It's not the same all the time.
It's ever changing and shifting. Yeah. So would it be fair to say in the beginning you understood the words I was saying to you, but you didn't begin to experience it until some time unfolded? Correct? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
correct.
So in this journey you've been on with yourself, what would you say has been the greatest shift for you?
Well, for sure, the way I express myself and my emotions. So I'm that kind of person that pushes down the emotions, and then of course, naturally, sometimes they just pop up and they explode in a shape and in a way that it's not the one that I really desire. That doesn't mean that we need to control this, but I've always been also very judgy when these things happen. What body mind taught me was not only to look at emotions like just emotions that are nature and should happen, but also that I didn't need to feel guilty because I was expressing them in a certain way, but I can still express myself in a different way, or let's say explain what is going on to myself and my loved ones afterwards.
Yep.
So instead of push them down, then explode, then feel guilty because you exploded, body mind taught me, and this process teach me to be like aware that this is a pattern of mine, but I can still change the final outcome of that, because my loved ones and my friends are there for me, and they love me, and they, even in the bad times, they want to know why there are bad times, and I can change that part. So it teaches me that I cannot change some things, and maybe it's not needed to change them, but I can still change what I can change.
So in a way, it's like accepting and being with things as they are, and through that process, then a new experience occurs on the other end. Yeah.
Yeah, because like for me, in my experience, I judged myself very much. I still doing it. So keep working on it. And in general, there is this perfectionism in not just my case, but in our culture that pushes us to always like project things in a certain way. They should be in this way, or
Right.
my reaction should be in another way, or I should repair this emotion that I felt in a certain way or expressed in a certain way. Well, actually, nothing is perfect, and by not looking at perfectionism, you actually have the chance to discover much more. But it's easy to say, it's very difficult to do. Still
It's a
today.
process. It's
Yeah,
a voyage, and to engage in this process. Would it be fair to say that the growth is never ending, like you never arrive? So
yes,
we're not trying to paint a picture here that things are perfect and we've waved a magic wand, and it's an unending process. And so what is it that continues to have you choose to spend your time, energy, and money on this with yourself? Why do you continue?
well, because my life is changing. I have other challenges. I think this process is really supporting me and this big transitions, but also because I have the feeling that I have pushed down a lot of things for a long time, and I need to fully disclose them and being able to see them face to face. So it's not about fixing anything, but it's about being aware of those things and not turning the back to those things anymore.
It's like giving yourself permission to digest the undigested. Yeah.
Yes.
So would you be
Yes.
willing to speak a little bit more specifically, because you've mentioned it a couple of times, of how this process has supported you? So for those who have never tried anything or haven't tried body mind maturation work, can you speak specifically a little bit, without having to get too personal, obviously, on how you
Sure.
have found it supportive?
Sure. Well, as I said, the beginning was in the beginning, I saw in Body Mind the opportunity to, let's say, control the slight anxiety I was having during the pandemic. We all know it was a tough period. It was manifesting in different ways for different people. In my case, what happened to me was I was sleeping very bad for the first time in my life, which never happened before. Plus, my brain was like showing a movie that was going on in a never-ending loop, and mainly during night hours. So I got anxious about things that were not really relevant, but that movie was keep going, and I couldn't, switch it off, and I couldn't sleep. So of course, after a while, thinking, well, I can control this, and pushing this down again, which was my usual method, I just saw that this wasn't helping really. So closing my eyes and thinking, oh, this will pass, didn't really help. So as I said, the beginning of Body Mind journey for me was, again, being kind to myself, trying to understand that movie that was ongoing in my head, and why was keep going without me being able to, like, not stop, but at least in a certain way control it. And that was my first game change point, because the control was not the answer, but being kind to myself and allow me to switch on the movie, but then also switch it off in a very natural way, was the answer. So like it's funny, but the first outcomes were very practical, were very immediate. Like after our second meeting, I stopped having this movie nights in my head. I stopped having this anxiety going on, which I never had in my life, and was a symptom, of course, of something else, and of the period and of all the control that I lost over my life, as many other people did during the pandemic.
Right.
So it was very practical. I stopped having that anxiety, which was probably a slight and a light one, but still was
Sure.
making my life less easier. And well, the sleep quality increased after 6 months, so it took some time.
Yeah.
But some of the formulas and some of the sentences that you were telling me the first two meetings were actually sentences that you were telling me from person to person, that then I repeated person to person to myself during those night movies. And the night movies stopped because they were nonsense. They were just all the things that I couldn't control repeated to check if they were right. And yeah, that was the first case. Then of course, the interesting thing is that from there on, actually my journey really began, because that was the reason why I joined the Body Mind. But there was much more to dig into. And I stayed and I continued my journey because I felt I already, discovered a mini vase of Pandora, but I was not looking into it. Then the other things that supported me, the second thing I remember for sure is, as I said, the communication. So I began to be more gentle to myself after like exploding with emotions with my loved ones, which is a pattern I always had. So I'm a very contained person, and I used to show my emotion in a very moderate way. But of course, not all the emotions are moderate, and not all the emotions are positive. And again, I just learned how to increase my direct communication with my loved ones. So I didn't feel anymore that guilt after like exploding of anger for a thing, but instead I try to, even if this happens like, still, I try to communicate afterwards in a more honest way with the people I love. And this change was a huge change for me, but also was a huge change for people that know me. Like even without a specific case, people around me are actually seeing that there is a new Tanja in town. There are some changes above these two examples that I made that are becoming visible in the way I am expressing myself or I am behaving. So let's say the person I am today, which is just the evolution of the person I was 1 year ago. It's not another person, it's just an outgrown version of me. It's a person that today is a bit kinder to herself. It's a person that accepts with less discomfort the bad things of herself. And it's a person that is still working on all of this, because I am still on my journey with Body Mind. And as you know, I worked a lot on the mind. but I work less on the body. And this is something I am, for example, pledging to do.
Sure, 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 sure. Most people have a preference. They're either more comfortable with the mind or the body, and working with both simultaneously does take time, and it's a process. And the one who gets to decide of how that unfolds is whom?
Well, I really think, even if I'm not the best example of that, that when you're able to access the body mind simultaneously, the magic really happens. Because even if I'm not, again, succeeding in that currently, I did have some stages of my body mind process where I engaged the body, and I was doing the session of body mind that week, the same week, and I could feel that some space was created.
Yeah,
It was like really unplugging the mind and being in a different space and time. It's something I missed a lot because I experienced that sometimes, and now I want it back badly. But I know it's not the same every time. Like there will be one time where you go there and you're super committed and you want to do the body part and switch off the mind, and you could not do it. So for me, it's very hard to switch off the mind. It's always there. It's like Big Brother is watching you. But the few times that I managed to like not switch it off, but calm it and create that space was magical. And the effects I felt were durable effects. For days, I felt different. I could not picture that precisely, but I felt different.
it's one of those things you really have to experience. It's kind of hard to describe, isn't it?
Yes,
So
and it's again different for everybody, but
yeah, it's different for everybody. Exactly. So, what made you want to come on and share about this on a platform like YouTube where anyone could hear you? You're a pretty private person, so
yeah,
what
I
what
am.
made you want to do that?
Well, as you said, I am a private person, and I become even more private during the pandemic. It was like all of a sudden I was afraid to share things.
Yeah.
I was really looking for my safe cave and to stay there, to be there. I'm still not a big fan of private things on the socials, but
Mm,
this is different. I decided to be here and to share these things because first, I'm not alone, and I know I'm not alone in actually in the desire of knowing more about myself, in trying to understand more about myself, and also I'm not the only one navigating uncertainty of the current time. So and the last reason, the real reason, is that this journey has been really empowering for me. And
mm,
in 1 year, I can look back and see the differences. Not in my life because it's not magic wand, but I can see the changes I've done or the things I acknowledged, and how these things has changed the way I decided to live my life.
mm,
And I wanted to share it because this is not about me. This is not about my story. It's about what you can do or to actually change things, or to at least see things from a different perspective. It's a big chance. this is why I'm here. So I am sharing my personal story, but it's not about my personal story.
Beautiful, beautiful. So if somebody were interested in growing and evolving from where they are now, and they come across this and they're on the edge of wanting to try something out, what would you say to them?
Mm-hmm. I'll probably say something you said to me
No,
months
no.
ago. I would say that being on the river shore and look at the river for long time and collect all the data will not give you the change or the answer you're looking for. Just by entering the river and being there, deciding or not to swim is actually the only one thing you can do. Because I was on the shores for a long time, and I became very smart about the water, the data. I have all the data, but this didn't make me more courageous about the things that I felt inside of me I was looking for. So I would say go in the river and possibly take somebody's hand to watch it together and then decide to swim or not, but at least you would not be anymore on the shore.
Left me a bit speechless there, Tanja. Not only what you said, but where you were saying it from. Okay, so before we close, I want to give you an opportunity, since you've so graciously answered all of these unprepared questions so openly and honestly. Is there a question you'd like to ask me?
Yes, but it's the question I always have there, in the angle when we do the sessions. Will the discomfort ever shade? Because I admit that some of the sessions create great discomfort, and that's natural. And actually, those sessions in which I had the greatest discomfort were the ones that at the end I discovered something very big. And really, I'm honest by saying that in those sessions at the beginning, my person was like, I don't want to do it. It's like, stop it. And then from after 30 minutes, the session starts to change completely, and you end up super happy about what you discovered. You close the laptop and you go and live your life as before, but with that tool in your pocket that is super powerful all of a sudden. But still, is the discomfort over time by becoming more, I would say, more kind to yourself, is the discomfort shading away or
Fading?
becoming,
You mean diminishing?
Yeah, fading away or changing? In which way is changing? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. I think that discomfort, like comfort, can come in waves. And most people enjoy comfort and don't really enjoy discomfort. And this discomfort 9 times out of 10 is a teacher. Yeah. I don't think discomfort like comfort ever goes away, but the way we experience has a shift. The way we experience it has a shift. Our relationship to it has a shift. So, for example, once you've moved through the discomfort multiple times and have gotten to the other side of it, and you're sitting in ease, you begin to become aware that that is what's possible on the other side of it. So then your relationship to it changes. When you don't know that, it's kind of like, why would I even want to go through that? Right? Or is this ever
Yeah.
going to end? Yeah. And in any period of growth, there are moments of great discomfort. But if you're not going through it alone, and you know that it's not just you, and you trust that there's something on the other side of it, I'm not just doing this to put myself in discomfort and stay in discomfort.
Hmm.
And I think what ends up happening is you begin through time to experience increased lightness, increased freedom, increased spaciousness. And so in that lightness and increased freedom and spaciousness, then naturally you'll experience the discomfort differently. Your relationship to it will shift. Did that answer
Yeah.
your question?
Yes, and it gave me a keyword that is very interesting, freedom. Actually, that's something I would say to someone who wants to join this kind of path.
Mm,
It even if I'm not finished, and I guess you never finish to grow. One of the results that gave me this body mind journey is a certain new shape of freedom, the
mm,
freedom to be myself even when there's discomfort, the freedom of still count others others judgment or others opinions, but just respect them as well as I want them to be respected, but without any addition.
mm.
The freedom to rest and not overdo and just be a doer all the time. There are many shapes of freedom that I got from this journey. Yeah.
So beautiful. Well, Tanja, I want to thank you for joining us today. You're a very busy woman, and the fact that you created this space to share so generally today is really beautiful. So thank you. And I hope that when we do other types of conversations, that you'll be willing to come back on with us.
Yes, certainly. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.